as much as I hate to say this, I have never been a person that thought Coach Tomlin was a great coach. I thought he was a good coach. A good coach gets you to play to your potential. And right now, the players we have on that team, I have seen play. I know they can do it. I have seen them do it. And they're not playing up to their potential. And I know the Steelers historically don't move on from coaches. But I think it's time that history be made, because right now, the only history we're making is being the worst Pittsburgh Steelers team, statistically, almost in the history of the organization.
Okay, so that was Steelers legend James Harrison with obviously very strong words for Mike Tomlin. RC, know James very well. You obviously played for the Steelers. Are those fair comments by him?
First off, James is one of my close friends. I don't just know James, right? Like, you know, my son, my kids call him Uncle Debo. So I think that's the first thing. So before I would ever talk about him, I'm gonna talk to him. And initially I was like, Debo, that's wrong. I was like, well, who's great then? And he was like, well, Bill's great and Andy's great. And I was like, so I get it, that's your only criteria. I was like, he's like, so you tell me why he's great. And I was like, I said his leadership. I said the way he connects the locker room. I said the way that every week you went into a football game, when you went into that football game, you knew the exact path to winning and you knew the exact path to losing. That with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph and last year Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, he got those teams to overachieve. To me, Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches that's ever lived, and he's one of the greatest coaches of this era. And what makes me sad is when you watch the product that's on the field right now, you have to agree with what James is saying. You have to say that Mike Tomlin is not getting this team prepared to play up to their potential. That there should be a conversation between Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan, not if we should fire Mike Tomlin. I've said this time and time again. Mike Tomlin is unfireable in my opinion. But maybe it's best that Mike Tomlin's voice is elsewhere. Maybe it's best that you tear this entire thing down, because what's happened for the last 10 years, and Stephen A knows that this is the worst place to be, is they've been in championship purgatory. And that's not a place where the Pittsburgh Steelers need to be.
Since 2016, the Steelers are the #1 team in the NFL, winning 60% of their games, who have not won a playoff game. James Harrison, I'm not tight with him like RC is, but I got mad love for James Harrison. He's always been good to me. And, you know, and I like my life, too, because that brother is, he hurt.
He's not acting either.
He's not acting. You understand? I mean, I ain't going to say the person's name, but somebody ticked him off one time at a podcast. He wanted to hurt the brother. Like, let me talk to him. Let me talk, because I wanted the brother to live. You understand what I'm saying? This is James Harrison we're talking about here. Here's my only problem with James Harrison and what he said. What he said about Mike Tomlin this season is more than fair. It was the line when he said, I never viewed him as a great coach. It was like, damn. Because he played for the man. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, did you have to say that? You know, and the reason why I say that is because if you're going to do it, and I don't want to use the word respect because I got profound respect for James Harrison, but if you really, really wanted that element of the comment to be respected, then go Terry Bradshaw. Say it about him while he winning. See what I'm saying? To say it now, what you've been feeling about the totality of his coaching resume is an ouch moment, and you found yourself saying, was that really right? Was that really necessary? Terry Bradshaw said it years ago about Mike Tomlin, when Mike Tomlin was winning. Whether you agree or disagree, it's the 4-time champion, Super Bowl champion quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers that said that about Mike Tomlin when he was winning. That's different than saying it now.
But so here is why I reached out to James.
Sure.
Terry Bradshaw saying it isn't a man that's connected to Mike.
I agree with
Tomlin.
that. That's
right. And so when Terry Bradshaw says it, Terry Bradshaw to me is saying it as a Steeler great, but also as an analyst outside of the locker room.
Fair.
When James Harrison says it, people give more credence to it because you played for him.
Right.
You won a Super Bowl with him. You were the Defensive Player of the Year with Mike Tomlin. And so the question starts to be asked, well, why do you say it? Give me the specifics. And so for me, there's always that level of respect, that level of love, where the insides and the insights of what I know about him are between me and him. And if I ever got to the point where that was that strong of a statement, Mike Tomlin would know that before I said it. Right. And I called James, and James told me that Mike T already knew he felt that way.
Okay. All right. Well, that clears some things up. Regardless, Steelers are still 6-6. They're still tied for first place in their division. Still a lot of season left, and they could still make the postseason, and maybe
else in the NFL. When they made all these moves this year, I said this is the worst place you could possibly be, because we all knew they would be 9-8, 8-9. They're gonna have the 18th pick of the draft, and I said this on Monday after watching that game. What organization has more dire straits right now? Who has more dire hope for the future? Realistically, I think there's someone have thrown out two, maybe. And so, like, if you're Mike Tomlin, this is an old defense. It's an expensive defense. You still don't have a quarterback of the future. You're not going to be bad enough to have the quarterback of the future early enough draft pick. Where's the hope in trying to get back to a standard of that you have said? I think the Steelers are closer to a rebuild than a Lombardi. Not even close to that. So, yeah, if I was Mike Tomlin, as much as you have great admiration for the organization, winning at a level that you certainly were accustomed to is a far way away.
So, Dan, one of the things that surprised me this week was former players coming out and being critical of Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, Debo, James Harrison. How much of the current state of affairs for the Pittsburgh Steelers is on Mike Tomlin, and how should we look at his legacy as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach for 19 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to just bypass him as a significant part of it. He's the head coach. I'm sure he has some hand in putting the roster together, and obviously some hand in selecting the way that they went about acquiring Aaron Rodgers. And so it's a defense that, you know, Chris, like, you watch the defense, everybody stands up. So that's the Pittsburgh Steelers defense so he's got to have a significant hand in all of that. And I understand the players speaking out, because I can't imagine being an ex-Steeler and being used to watching the Steelers and the brand of the Steelers play to a certain way, and then watch that.
Yeah, I mean, but Dan, old man, like, I played for Tom Coughlin,
Sure.
won a Super Bowl with him. At the end, it wasn't pretty. I wasn't coming out and criticizing Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear
that's a different level.
I was surprised to hear it.
Debo saying that Tomlin is a good coach, not a great coach.
Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know if there's, I don't think there's a lot of recent evidence to justify great. And back great. Okay. Certainly has had a tremendous career and has had stretches where he's been a great coach. But
so great career, not necessarily a great coach.
No, I think he's had moments when he's been a great coach. I mean, Stephen A. I'll give Stephen A. his credit. Stephen A. has said this: 10 years without a playoff win, and with an organization that we know has a history of being properly run top to bottom. 10 years. No other coach would be given that grace period. So, it's hard to sit here and say he's not a great coach. But again, there's not a lot of evidence to sit there and say, great coach.
Okay, so when you watch the film, when you see what Mike Tomlin has done in recent memories, do you think that he could have a second act similar to what we saw with Andy Reid?
Yes.
Do you think that that's possible?
Yeah, but I would say that the number one thing is, you got to find a viable player at the quarterback position. That's been a huge part of this 10-year run. Is they had Ben his last 3 or 4 or 5 years when Ben had gotten a little bit older, a little bit more beat up. Then they had a couple-year stretch where it was like a plug and play. Then it was Kenny Pickett, and obviously recently it's been a revolving door. And so, Andy Reid's second act is because he's had one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play football with him. That goes a long way. So do I think he can? Yes. But do I think he's going to do it with a